Greetings to everybody. I'm here with Brother John Webb,
Howdy.
and we would like to record a video together on topics related to Freemasonry, spirituality, and
Safe driving.
And safe driving. So just try to have a normal and good conversation, and I hope you enjoy. And I would like Brother John to start if he has any questions or curiosities we can discuss.
Well, I remember one of the topics I wanted to bring up just to discuss, because I had talked to Brother Solomon a lot. I'm driving right now, so if I'm not looking at the camera, please don't be offended. But I talked to Solomon a lot, and I like a lot of what he has to say, and he has a way of putting very esoteric / spiritual / scientific stuff in terms that a lot of people can understand and relate to. And I think he has a strong message of unity that really needs to be heard as well. And I think that's a lot of what society is lacking today. From what I know of Solomon, if I can talk of you on camera while you're here and your
Sure.
presence unannounced, brotherly love and spreading fellowship and spreading good will towards all is his primary approach. And I think that it is great to have kind of a Spartan out there just fighting to bring fellowship, even in the face of just flat out hatred sometimes. And it keeps a level head, so I like it. So listen to what he says, and at the very least, question it. You know what I mean? I tried to give a dramatic effect, because I mean that. But anyhow, as far as the rest of it, where was I? Do you remember?
You were talking about listening to me?
Yeah, I was talking about listening to you, but I don't want to feature your ego too much, so I'm gonna switch.
No, I'm really humbled, and I am really thankful for the love and support Brother John has shown me, and I would like to ask him, what are ways that we can improve the brotherhood and its overall experience for the especially the younger generation of today? How can we make it a force where they feel some kind of affinity towards it for their life's purpose?
Well, this is actually a much deeper question to me than it sounds like on the surface, because fellowship and unity and true brotherhood, it comes with a sacrifice. You could call it a cost, but it really is a sacrifice. It's a choice to sacrifice some of your time to do good and to make time to be around good people and share that fellowship.
Absolutely.
I love churches for that. There's a couple of local churches that I love for that too, but I won't mention them without talking to them first anyway. What if they don't support what I have to say? So same thing with Grand Lodge. I'm going to be very careful, because I don't speak for them, and Brother Solomon probably announces that in all of his videos as well.
Yes, absolutely.
We are just Freemasons, and we speak for ourselves, but we are also trying to spread the true message of Freemasonry and the true purpose of Freemasonry, because there are a lot of people that get spooked by it, which is where it becomes a complicated subject for me, because to promote the true fellowship, we really have to focus on what is dividing us from the people, because I like our goals. To me, on the surface, our goals are to take the knowledge that's been carefully crafted over time, like Pythagoras' theorem, for example, preserve that, and pass it on to people in a way that they can understand. Right?
That's right.
It's really tough to do that. One of my favorite educators in the world, I'm sorry if I miss your first name, but her name was Peggy Weibel. I can't remember. Brain damage. But she was a mathematician. And my first day of pre-algebra in 7th grade, because I was homeschooled before that and I hadn't had pre-algebra yet, she calls me up to the board and she says, because I volunteered to solve the problem, she says, I want you to look at the equation on the board, and I want you to multiply both sides of the equation by the multiplicative inverse of the coefficient of the variable term. And I just stood there like a deer in headlights. I had no idea. Seriously, I literally came from like Ohio and Kentucky at that point to Pennsylvania, where big city life was just foreign to me. And now she's throwing out vocabulary I'd never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she simplified it, and she made it something that was easy to understand. How do you divide fractions? Well, you take that fraction that you have to remove from one side of the equation, and because you're removing it from one side, you have to add it to the other side of the equation in a way that balances it.
Mm-hmm.
And all you really have to do is multiply the other side by the reverse, by the inverse, by the upside down version of the fraction you're taking away from the other side.
Yep.
And then she gets into multiplying fractions, which is really cool. And I'm going to stop because that's about as much as I know about mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, it taught me a very valuable lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the language and the arena of mathematics is complex,
Mm-hmm.
it is also a very simple and elegant solution to problem-solving real-world problems.
That's right.
When I think about Masonry and Masonic stuff, it also has the same elegance with simplifying basic knowledge. I mean, just look at the tools that are exemplified in the symbol that's out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got the square and the compasses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those two devices have been used since ancient times, like time before time.
That's correct.
And that's why we still have buildings that stand today, because of those tools and other tools that complement it.
Mm-hmm.
And you find a lot of those tools throughout the fraternity for a reason that, it might be a Masonic secret. Those tools are valuable for people to have and know how to use.
Mm-hmm.
That should be your first clue that these guys, or at least, the ones that are perpetuating the tradition, are interested in preserving real, useful, valuable knowledge.
Yes. Now, that's a very great explanation that Brother John has given. Now, in terms of mathematics, I would like to ask him his thoughts on gematria, which is a Kabbalistic method of seeing that everything is done by the numbers. Now, is everything in our universe and in our world calculated with a certain mathematical value at all certain times? Are there patterns to our existence that we don't know? And how does gematria shape this value in terms of our future, and where is humanity headed towards right now in our life and in our current state, and how can we improve that? So this is an extensive two-part question, and
Three parts.
3 parts. So
I'll try.
I let Brother John speak his mind, and here you go.
Okay. Gematria is a very complicated subject all by itself. So if you don't know what gematria is, just listen as best you can to the rest of what's gonna be said, and then go look it up. It really is an interesting mathematical equation, a mathematical algorithm that some people really do use with the intent of manipulating others, in my opinion. So, to really dive into it, I'm going to go into just a little bit of my background. Since I don't know mathematics, I use Excel. And that way I can just learn the formula, set the formula up, and then set up my checks, and it's done. And then I don't actually have to keep doing the math.
Yes.
So, in that, if I'm going to set up a weighted table, each cell will have an assigned value in that. So let's just say -9 up through a value of 9, right? And so that gives you, 18, 19 numbers? 19 because of 0? I don't know.
It comes up to like maybe 18 or 19.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyhow, when you start adding data into the weighted cells, at the end of that, you have an idea of whether it ends on this problem that you're trying to figure out is on the side of the positive and to what percentage, or on the negative and to what percentage, or where it is in relation to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Gematria I view as a very similar mathematical algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that it takes a lot of words that hold a weight to a general population of people.
Mm-hmm.
And even factoring in numerology and all of that stuff, the significances are going to be much more predictable in a certain subset of numbers. Sort of the same way that language can be predictable.
Mm-hmm.
So I've also spent a good amount of time overseas, in Poland particularly, and when I was there, it was difficult to learn the language because I didn't speak anything. The whole language sounded like it was one long word to me, and I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Right.
So eventually I started being able to pick out the common things like coffee, because and I know how to say coffee in like 12 different languages now.
Mm-hmm.
No is like 6 of them. Or not no. Coffee, or an equivalent is like 6 of them. Coffee, kava. I mean, it's all coffee. Everybody loves coffee.
Or
it's
cafe.
the world's favorite drug.
They call it cafe too.
Cafe, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, but it's nice. So once I've picked a word like coffee,
Mm-hmm.
I know that it is going to have a significance to a percentage of the population that I can calculate with today's technology and today's information availability.
Yeah.
I'm going to my old house, man, instead of your house. It's okay. We're taking a 5-minute detour.
Yep. No worries.
So, so once that value is assigned, it'll apply to, let's just say, 60% of the population,
Mm-hmm.
including children and people that aren't drinking coffee yet. So 60% of the total population.
Mm-hmm.
It holds a certain significance to them.
Mm-hmm.
So when I can come up with a group of 15 words that has a certain significance to a percentage of the population, I can start to influence what that group or majority of the population is going to do, or how they're going to behave, or maybe subliminally influence them to purchase another cup of coffee that week that they wouldn't have normally purchased, because I set up the right string of words in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So it's like a pattern how a lot of people say that we're in an AI reality and everything is kind of predictable to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Would that make sense?
It could be described that way. I can't say definitively that it is an AI, because I'm experiencing it as a unique consciousness, and from my perspective, everything looks legit.
Mm-hmm.
But I know people that talk about everything from past lives to out-of-body experiences. I have myself had an experience, but I don't remember seeing anything or talking to anybody. But I did have a significant accident when I was a teenager, and I cracked my skull car surfing. Don't be bad, kids.
Good advice.
Yeah. So, Delco, just get better. Where was I going with this? Brain damage.
It's about the AI reality and how you perceive everything from your perspective to be real.
So when my lights went out, because I cracked my skull on the concrete at like 30, 40 miles an hour or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I do remember feeling the initial impact.
Mm-hmm.
And everything didn't go bright as far as my eyes go,
Mm-hmm.
but everything definitely went bright as far as my brain goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was out and unconscious and out. And when I came to minutes later,
Mm-hmm.
because apparently I was just sitting there smiling at my friends while spinal fluid was leaking out of my ear,
Mm-hmm.
Or the fluid my brain sits in, whatever, it's probably the same fluid. my friends were talking to me, and I was having a very normal, casual conversation with them, telling them that I was fine. When I remember seeing everybody else come back into focus, it was like, slowly turning the lights back up on everything, and it came back in.
Right.
I don't think I was completely in shock. I hit the stage of shock at a certain point on the trip to the hospital. But I was coming back into consciousness, and my friends asked me if I was okay, and I said, yeah, I'm fine. I think I broke my collarbone, though. And then as I stood up, everything just kind of rushed back into me. Like, it felt like my life force came back into my whole body instead of just my mind and barely in my mouth. It felt like it rushed back into my entire body. Maybe my heart started beating better, or some oxygen thing, I don't know. But the feeling was with me that I had been somewhere with people that care for me, that I am strongly connected with, and that it was fine and everything was good and as it was supposed to be. I definitely did not feel, and I knew I was out. I knew I was not present for a while. But I also know that during that time I did not feel alone, and I still felt like myself. It was very ethereal, I guess. But nothing specific, just very connected, and also no real memory of it either. I don't know quite how to describe it, but ever since then I've kind of had a special theory to support my belief in an afterlife.
Now, that was amazing. And that's why I love talking to Brother John, because he is a wealth of knowledge. And there's a lot that we can learn from what he tells us about the beauty of life and how we can love each other and bring healing to this world that's more broken now than ever. And I believe that's why I promote Freemasonry, because Freemasonry's value is to uplift the fallen state of mankind. Now, if we show the world that you can love one another regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic background, or wherever you come from, then this world can become a really good place, because at the end, we're not too different from each other. We all have the same hopes and dreams, wishes for ourselves and our families. And if we turn the television off and get to know the people in our communities, we should be more united than ever, and to not let anybody's agenda cause any fear or anxiety in any way, shape, or form. Now, I would like to ask Brother John, what are his predictions for the post-2020 world as we head towards a new decade? And are we going to see any progressive change in this country or humanity as a collective in terms of where we're going spiritually, mentally, and emotionally?
Wow, after 2020. Predictions? No. But hopes, and also some cautions. There are a lot of groups of people out there in the world right now, and some are not very savory. And if the good people of the world don't start taking the innocent of the world and protecting them better, and I mean that publicly when you're watching somebody be humiliated. I mean that at home, if somebody in your household is being abused. I mean that everywhere. If we, the stronger of the good people, aren't willing to stand up and protect other people, even if we don't know them, then we're all in real trouble. Because if we won't stand and fight for what we believe in, who will? So my hope is that people can start awakening to that type of knowledge, that we are strong if we unite.
Yes.
And alone, we're just letting the bad guys win and getting depressed. And so that's just not the way. Music obviously is taking an evolution.
Yeah.
I love it. I love music of all kinds. Very good friend of mine. I call her a composer. I should probably prefer to be called a DJ. But music. It's not only mathematical and harmonious when it happens to be good music, but it's also, it's almost a religious experience, especially for the person creating it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage everybody, even if it's just a mouth harp or a harmonica, grab a musical instrument and learn how to play something, because that is a connection that
It's a
inspires.
beautiful expression that you can create.
Yeah, it really is. And
That's
it
right.
not only soothes you, even if it's terrible music,
Mm-hmm.
it will soothe you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it brings with it the tones and the vibrations, but also the rhythm.
Yep.
And we need rhythm. That's why we're moved to dance. That's why you tap your toe. So if we can get a little more grooving,
Mm-hmm.
a little more friendly fellowship and camaraderie when it's significant,
Yes.
and education,
Yes.
I think we can really have a good, solid foundation, dare I say it,
Say it.
for a new world order.
Yes, that's exactly right. And see, a lot of people get it twisted, but a new world order is an order that benefits everybody. It's order out of chaos, and chaos has to take place for order to come and renew humanity and renew the world. So it's how you perceive the individual terms. And most people fear things they do not understand. So as we conclude this interview, I will let Brother John finish the rest. All right.
I'm not sure I want to finish the rest because he's got a better announcer voice, I think. But I just want to expand on what Solomon just said. He said you need the chaos to have the order. I guess the way that I would explain it to the people that I know that wouldn't quite get that phrase, the trees that will only drop their seeds after a fire, is a really good example of what he's talking about. So when something bad has taken hold, it has to be destroyed in order for something good to be put in over its place. You could think of it like remodeling a house.
It's absolutely correct.
That is the symbolism that Solomon was trying to throw out there. I'm from Ohio. We talk a little different out there, so it wouldn't have translated as well. I apologize if I was stepping on it.
No worries. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio myself, so
you Northerners talk funny.
So I can relate.
That's great. So that's all I've got, other than can I plug Delco SciTech real quick?
Sure, go for it.
I'm going to have some videos coming out on Delco SciTech. I hope and know that Brother Solomon will probably make an appearance in those too. And hopefully a few others. We got a big country musician we're going to be contacting soon, so stay tuned.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
So this was amazing, and Brother John, I really, really enjoyed talking with you and sharing this with those that have the hunger for knowledge. And I hope your project Delco SciTech for the community comes to fruition one day, where you help the local community. And that's what part of Freemasonry is. You uplift your fellow man and the community that you reside in. And I would like to do a second interview with Brother John down the road, and this will be uploaded to my channel and to his channel as well. So
as soon as I figure out how to do it, it'll be on my channel too.
Yes. So
for as much as I know about like stuff, setting up computers is still not my cup of tea.
Well, it'll be uploaded on my channel, and then he can download it, and then it'll be on his channel as well. So the credit for this video goes to both of us. And thank you for watching. And you all have a good night, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you.
Peace.
All right. right.